Uh, Welcome to the channel. Hope you guys are having a good day. Today, we're going to do something that I haven't done here on the channel before. We're going to do a mock draft, and we're going to do a 7-round mock draft. We're going to do the fast mode. I'm going to use the players from the PFF list here, and I'm going to be drafting for the Dallas Cowboys, of course. Now, today, I'm going to do best player available. I'm going to do also needs for this team, and I'm going to do something that I do feel like the Cowboys should do, or they should do something similar, or at least consider doing something similar. Now, the Cowboys, obviously, our defense is incredibly defensive side of the ball, especially at inside linebacker. So I'm going to go in here and do my solo draft. Now, I'm going to propose a trade, and I'm actually going to trade up in this scenario. So we all know about David Mulligata and George Pickens and how the Cowboys and George Pickens, they have not come to an agreement yet uh, on a deal. And so, George Pickens is probably going to want a lot of money, Fan Nation. It really financially doesn't make sense for the Dallas Cowboys to go out there and spend $40 million on a wide receiver. So Cleveland is a team that I'm going to talk about trading with. I know people have talked about it before. So in this scenario, I'm going to trade pick 12 for pick number 6, pick number 24, and I'm going to send George Pickens to Cleveland, not Quinnen Williams. And I'm going to try and pick up 39 as well. And I want a player from Cleveland as well. I am going to take, let's see here. So Cleveland does have Jerry Jeudy. Jerry Jeudy is not as talented as George Pickens, but he is a guy that's not going to cost you $40 million. He's a guy that can be your number 2 receiver. He is a guy that Dallas would be okay with if we were to trade for him. So in this scenario, I'm going to trade picks number 12 and 20 to the Cleveland Browns for their picks 6, 24, 39, and Jerry Jeudy. I'm also going to send my number 12 pick, my number 20 pick, and George Pickens to the Cleveland Browns in exchange for their number 6 pick, their number 24 pick, the number 39 pick, and wide receiver Jerry Jeudy. So I've gotten my number 2 wide receiver here. Yes, I did lose out on George Pickens, but again, you're going to save a lot of money because you're not going to have to pay $40 million, and you don't have to deal with David Mulligata on here. So I proposed this trade, and Cleveland has accepted my trade. So George Pickens is now going to be on the Cleveland Browns. I'm going to have the number 6, 24, 39 pick along with George Pickens, or along with Jerry Jeudy, excuse me. So, okay. Here's who's. So I wanted to take Sonny Styles. Unfortunately, he's off the board. So Fernando Mendoza is gone. Arvell Reese is gone. Bailey's gone. Delane is gone. And Sonny Styles is gone. Well, who on here makes sense for the Dallas Cowboys? I have Ruben Bain Jr. The Cowboys do need an edge rusher, and I feel like Ruben Bain Jr. would help us there. There's Jeremiah Love. I love him from being a Notre Dame fan, but it really doesn't make sense after paying Javonte Williams. You do have Francis Mwaga from Miami. Cowboys could potentially use another offensive tackle. But I don't know. Carnell Tate's interesting, but again, I just traded George Pickens for Jerry Jeudy to the Cleveland Browns, so I already have a number 2 wide receiver here, Fan Nation. There is Dylan Thieneman. Cowboys could use a safety. There's Spencer Fano from my alma mater. There's Caleb Downs on this list. This is a tough one because I'm going to have to decide between Ruben Bain Jr. and Caleb Downs. I think I'm going to go with Ruben Bain Jr. I want that front 7 strong, so I'm going to draft Ruben Bain Jr. here. And I've taken Ruben Bain Jr. Now, here I am at pick 24. Cowboys still need an inside linebacker. Let's see who's on the board. So I have Emmanuel McNeil-Warren on the board. He is a guy that I could consider going for as a safety. I could go Akeem Mazador, but Akeem Mazador, we already took an edge, Ruben Bain Jr., so that's really not a need anymore. Keldrick Falk is there. Really don't need him. My best player available here is probably going to be Emmanuel McNeil Warren. So I'm going to take him at 24. So now here I am in the second round. I have my safety. I have my edge rusher. I still need a linebacker, though. Uh, Jacob Rodriguez is on the board here. He's intriguing. He's somebody that could fit into the Dallas Cowboys defense and help him out here. Uh, I do have Caleb Banks, DT. That wouldn't be necessarily a bad pick. I think I'm going to go with Jacob Rodriguez in this situation because I need an inside linebacker and I need somebody that's going to lay the wood. So I'm going to take Jacob Rodriguez here. So I am now done with round 1, round 2. And let's see, I'm now in round 3. Who is available? So Dallas Cowboys, this is where it gets interesting because I could have passed on Jacob Rodriguez and gone after Chris Johnson, a corner, which is a position that the Cowboys definitely need. And I could have gotten Anthony Hill Jr. here in the 3rd round. So that's something that I got to keep in mind. But right now, the Cowboys, we have Ruben Bain Jr., we have an edge rusher going into the future. I have another safety, Emmanuel McNeil Warren. I have Jacob Rodriguez. So I have my stud linebacker. I have my solid edge rusher here. And I have my safety. So this isn't the way I thought it would fall because I've had a few other drafts that have fallen differently. But Anthony Hill Jr. is a guy that the Dallas Cowboys are interested in. He's compared to Bobby Wagner. He played at the University of Texas. He, right now, is my best player available. I don't have a corner yet, so I don't know if I necessarily want to go corner. I mean, Malik Muhammad's on the board, and I know the Cowboys are interested in him. But honestly, I'm going to double dip, and I'm going to go linebacker. I'm going to go with Anthony Hill Jr. here. And I'm going to see if Malik Muhammad fell to me. He did not. He got picked up. So here I am in the 4th round at pick number 112. I got my 2 linebackers. I'm set there. I got Rodriguez. I got Anthony Hill Jr. Those are 2 guys that will start for the Dallas Cowboys right away. I have my safety in Emmanuel McNeil Warren. He is going to be a guy that I feel like could take Malik Hooker's job. So I have my safeties there. And then I also have Ruben Bain Jr. So you're looking at our front 7 going into 2026. I have at my nose tackle position Atito Abanya. I got Kenny Clark, and I have Quentin Williams as my 2 defensive ends. And then on my outside linebackers who are edge players, I have Ruben Bain Jr. And I also have what's his name? Rashawn Gary. So I got my guys there. Linebacker, I got Jacob Rodriguez. I got Anthony Hill Jr. And I also have DeMarvion Overshown. So I'm pretty set at linebacker there. I only really needed 2 that could start that would help me out, and I have that. So I still need a corner. There's not really any great corners. I could go wide receiver here, but again, I just traded that George Pickens and those picks to the Cleveland Browns, and I have Jerry Jeudy as my number 2 wide receiver. So what am I going to do here? I could go after Malachi Fields. He is a guy that could be a number 2 wide receiver for the Dallas Cowboys. He is a guy I could pick up, and he is one of the higher rated players here on the board. I could go Anthony Lucas and get some depth there at edge, but I don't know. I still don't really have a corner, though. I mean, I have Will Lee out of Texas A&M. I got Takario Davis. This is a tough one. I could go Malachi Fields, add that extra pick. But again, the offense, even with Jerry Jeudy, is going to be pretty loaded in this scenario. So I think I'll probably go with Anthony Lucas here just to add some depth. And I took him now here in the 4th round. I'm going to go to the 5th round. I'm going to see who falls to me. And Takario Davis is still there. Takario Davis, 6'4", 140, 190. He's not really a nickel player. I'm looking more for a nickel type of corner, which sucks because Malik Muhammad, I was hoping he'd fall to me there. But I did double dip at linebacker, which was important. I could go to Takario Davis, but he doesn't really fit what I need in terms of corners. I could take him just for depth purposes. Um, let's see who's, but he is the best player available, so maybe I'll just take Tacario Davis here. So I've taken Tacario Davis. And here we are in the 5th round at pick 177. So far, I've gotten Reuben Bain Jr. as my edge rusher. I've gotten Emmanuel McNeil Warren as my safety. Those two players I do feel like will both start for the Dallas Cowboys if we draft them. I drafted Jacob Rodriguez. He would start. And Anthony Hill Jr. I feel like would have a good chance. So I got my 2 linebackers. I got my safety. I got my starting edge rusher. I also had Anthony Lucas from USC for depth purposes at edge. And then I also got Tacario Davis from Washington for depth purposes. Now, Michael Tafey is a guy that I can consider drafting here. Or I could go Thaddeus Dixon. Now, Thaddeus Dixon is 6'1", 195. He is a guy that could play your nickel corner. He's not too big for that, not too small. Um, he is compared to, I haven't even heard of these guys, but he does fit a need there. I could go Michael Tafey out of Texas, 6 foot, 189 pounds. I could see if I could go here with him. And he is compared to Andrew Mukuba, so that's not a bad comparison. Another tough one. Do I go, because I do pick 3 picks later, so I can still go get Thaddeus Dixon. Maybe I will go Michael Tafey here. And Thaddeus Dixon did fall to me, so Thaddeus Dixon is going to be my pick at 180. And I got one more pick left. So in this draft scenario, I've already picked up my 2 linebackers. I picked up my starting edge and an edge depth piece. I picked up 2 corners, another safety in Michael Tafey. So I'm pretty set at safety. I'm pretty set at corner. And I'm pretty set at edge, along with linebacker. So who else is on the board here? Well, there is Lorenzo Styles Jr. He's available. Again, this is like the 7th round, so I don't think that anybody we get is going to be too big. And yeah, so maybe I will take Lorenzo Styles Jr., but again, I'm kind of, let's see, else do I have? Not a lot of great options. Again, this is the 7th round, so I don't expect it. Harold Perkins Jr. is on the board here at 218. I'll take him. So, draft should be pretty close to being over, and it is. So, I got a B+ grade according to ProFootballNetwork.com. My mock draft is over with. I have Reuben Bain. I have a man who's going to be my starter. So your starters in this draft scenario, if the draft were to fall like this for the Cowboys, just to recap, I traded away picks 12, 20, and George Pickens in exchange for picks 6, 24, 39, and wide receiver Jerry Jeudy to the Cleveland Browns. So in this trade, yes, I did lose out on George Pickens, which sucks, but I'm not going to have to pay him $40 million. I still was able to get me a solid number 2 receiver in Jerry Jeudy. So even with Pickens gone, I still feel like CeeDee Lamb, Jerry Jeudy, and Ryan Flournoy, that whole receiving core, is going to be very good in this scenario. So I didn't even have to go out there and draft a receiver because I got Jerry Jeudy in this situation. So I ended up trading up to pick 6. I got Reuben Bain Jr., who's going to start at edge. He and Rashawn Gary are going to be my 2 outside linebackers / edge players that I just drafted here. Boom, I'm set there. Then I went after Emmanuel McNeil Warren, a safety, another position the Cowboys could probably use. I don't trust Malik Hooker. Now, P.J. Locke is a serviceable starter and a great backup, but I don't think he's necessarily trusted to be a full-time starter. You just got Jalen Thompson at the other safety position who's going to start. So now that I have Emmanuel McNeil Warren, I'm going to have him. I'm also going to have Jalen Thompson. I think my safeties are pretty set. We also need an inside linebacker. I wanted to get C.J. Allen at 24. He wasn't there. Jacob Rodriguez at 39 was there. I took him out of Texas Tech. So, boom, I got my starting inside linebacker there. Then I got lucky at pick number 92, and Anthony Hill Jr., another guy the Dallas Cowboys are interested in that's compared to Bobby Wagner, fell to me at 92. So I got my two starting linebackers, I got a starting safety, and I got an edge. Boom. Then I went ahead and I picked up Anthony Lucas in the fourth round. He's a guy that can be a solid depth piece at edge, just somebody else that you can add there. So I feel like the Cowboys will be pretty strong coming off the edge after this draft. I think they'll have strong inside linebackers, and they'll definitely be strong at safety. Then I went ahead in round 5, and I took Dakario Davis out of Washington. He's a guy that can be a depth piece there on the outside. He also possibly could start just with all the injuries that we've had. So I think that that's a good pick. I also picked up Michael Tafey out of Texas. Michael Tafey is a guy that'd be a solid depth piece for the Cowboys. So, boom. I got great safety depth going into this year. You look at who our safeties are going to be. You're going to have Emmanuel McNeil-Warren, Jalen Thompson. Emmanuel McNeil-Warren will probably battle it out with Malik Hooker for that starting job. And then, of course, you're going to have P.J. Locke behind those guys. And then on the other side, you're going to have Jalen Thompson. You're going to have what's his face, Marquise Bell, and then you're going to have Michael Tafey. So you're set at safety. And then I went ahead and I took Thaddeus Dixon, who can be a nickel corner at pick 180. That's a guy that you're going to like. So the Cowboys are going to be set at corner too, because you're going to have Bland, you're going to have Revel, you're going to have Kobe Durant, and then Darion Kendrick, Kalen Carson. And then you're going to have Davis and Thaddeus Dixon. So you're going to have a lot of depth there at corner. You're going to have a lot of depth there at corner in this scenario. And you're also going to have a lot of depth at safety. And then finally, the last pick, I took Harold Perkins Jr. out of LSU. Cowboys are weakest right now, I feel like, at linebacker. And I've restocked that position. I got Jacob Rodriguez, I got Anthony Hill Jr., and I got Harold Perkins Jr. I got a solid linebacking depth core right there. So I don't really need to worry about that. I addressed that in the draft. I traded away George Pickens to the Cleveland Browns for their pick 6, 24, 39. And I got Jerry Jeudy, a wide receiver, out of it. So I didn't even need to worry about getting a wide receiver in this draft because I got a number 2 in Jerry Jeudy. And he's not going to cost me as much. Now, he is a drop-off, I feel like, in talent from George Pickens, but I still feel like the Cowboys' offense will be very strong even in this scenario. So, overall, I got a B-plus grade in this draft. I think if the Cowboys were to do something like this, it could really help out the defense. You got your linebackers that you needed that can start. You got a safety that can go out there and start. You got an edge player that's going to go out there and start. You have depth pieces behind them at corner, at safety, at edge, at linebacker. So I think in this scenario, I like the way that this draft fell. It's not my favorite, but at the same time, I got my needs addressed and I got some of the best players available. I got good linebackers. I got good safeties. I got good corners. I got me an edge, and I got me a wide receiver number 2 that's a veteran, but that's not super old. That's not going to cost me $40 million. Makes no sense for the Dallas Cowboys to go out there, in my honest opinion, and pay George Pickens $40 million. The entire situation with David Mulligata last year was a nightmare. I think I would not want to. I don't blame Jerry Jones one bit for not wanting to work with him. He lied and did all this stuff about the contracts. Did certain things that were kind of shady, and yeah. So this draft scenario, I like how it turned out. I'll read some of the comments here. Tuss lost in the Yankees game. Yes, is what it is. I just can't have another year of Kenneth Murray. Well, I'm telling you right now, I just got 3 linebackers. I feel like that will be upgrades over Kenneth Murray. Oh, no, I don't think Dallas will go corner at 12. They did not go corner at 12. I don't think so. Unless Mansour Delan were to fall at 12, I agree. But again, in this scenario, Hoodlum, I traded up. I traded pick 12, pick 20, George Pickens in exchange for Cleveland's 6, 24, 39, and Jerry Judy to address a need. So I've addressed my needs. I've gotten some good depth out of this draft, and I really like the way that it's turned out. You know, I know that there's going to be people that are critical and say all this stuff. That's fine. But I'm telling you, if the Cowboys were to do something like this, they'd be able to fix a lot of their problems on the defensive side of the ball without having to go out there and spend tons of money in free agency, which we can't because most of the money is going to Dak and CeeDee Lamb and the offensive side of the ball. So really all you can do is you hit in the draft. Well, I think I hit in the draft here. I got two starting linebackers, a solid depth piece in Harold Perkins Jr. I'm set there. I got an edge player in Ruben Bain Jr. that's really, really good in run defense and in the pass rush at number 6. I got me a safety that can start and beat out Malik Hooker. We can move on from him, especially when he's on the back end of his career and he's costing the Cowboys a lot of money. I got corner depth in the 5th round with Davis on the outside, Thaddeus Dixon, who can play on the outside, can play nickel. So I've addressed those needs there. And then I got Michael Tafey for more safety depth. And then, yeah, I also got Anthony Lucas in the 4th round, who can be a solid edge player and can be a solid depth piece for the Dallas Cowboys. Wasn't my favorite, but it gives me when you're in the 4th, 5th, 6th, 7th round, you're looking for guys that are depth pieces. If you get a guy that's a starter, that's a bonus. But you're looking for guys that are depth pieces that can just help your football team come in and play, rotational type of players. But in the first 3 rounds, I got 4 starting players, starting edge, starting safety, and 2 starting linebackers. I think if you're the Dallas Cowboys and you were to do something like this would help your defense a lot. I didn't feel like I reached too much in this draft. Maybe the Lucas pick, but honestly, I like the way that this draft has turned out. So I may do another one of these before the draft starts in a couple weeks, but I think if the Cowboys were to trade up, this is a trade up scenario draft. You get your edge in Ruben Bain. You get a starting safety in McNeil Warren. You get 2 starting linebackers in Rodriguez and Anthony Hill. Then you get solid depth pieces in Anthony Lucas at edge, Dakario Davis at corner, Michael Tafey at safety, Thaddeus Dixon at corner, and then you get Harold Perkins Jr. Plus you get Jerry Judy, who can be a solid number 2. I think if you were to do this, it would help your football team out a lot, especially in the long run. So, hope you guys like the live draft. Maybe I'll do this again. But yeah, I like the way it turned out. I'll catch y'all later. Peace.